Let's talk how to deal with pressure. So this one is a very interesting one depending on where you're at in your life. So let's talk how to deal with pressure. Now this one is a fascinating one depending on where you're at in life and how you perceive it. Now, going off Wikipedia, not even Wikipedia, the dictionary, pressure is the amount of force that we feel, right, or an object feels, but let's put it on ourselves, us being that object. When we look at pressure and what we feel, often it can be perceived pressure from other people or even societal pressure. Many of us blokes have grown up feeling the pressure or adopting the pressure that we need to be the protector, the provider. We need to have a certain income, we need to have a certain status within society, and that pressure can become overwhelming for a lot of people, and the ripple effects that happen as a result of that can be detrimental to the quality of life that you have. It can be detrimental to your physical health, your mental and emotional health, your relationships, all things that in the grand scheme of things, if they're not in place, will equal poor mental health, right? If you were to look at our lifestyle report card that we have within our Strong Men of Value Academy, we look at those areas because if some of them are lagging, it does actually impact your mental health. They've started to understand that more than just it being linked with mental illness and various other things like that. Your relationships, your health, your lifestyle factors, fulfillment, happiness, all play a role, and even your finances, all play a role in how you feel overall. Now, there's a great quote from Billy King: "Pressure is a privilege." And bear with me, right? When I first read that, I was like, how could that possibly be? How is pressure a privilege? But the more I thought about it, the more I realized it is, because we're very fortunate to be able to have the freedom to think, right? To even be able to experience a lot of the pressures that we have. And if we put it into context, okay, there are some pressures that I've never experienced in my life, and I couldn't even begin to comprehend what that would feel like in regards to not having shelter, not having access to clean water, the pressure for health. But I guess when people may be in that position, they don't even have the luxury to think about what it would be like having clean water. Their first thought is, I just need to get fucking hydrated. I don't care what I drink. So for a lot of us, and especially those who are listening to this episode here, pressure is a privilege. Right? A lot of the pressures that we feel is because we have a certain set standard around what we need to uphold in various fields within our life. It could be the pressure to be a six-figure earner. It could be the pressure to be a stay-at-home dad. It could be the pressure to keep up with all these self-help books in the background of my video here. It could be the pressure to drink with your mates every time you go out, right? There's always pressure. And what is most important with this, I guess what I want to give you from this video as well is, one, understanding why you're doing what you're doing and how you can perceive pressure, because more often than not, it's the meaning that we give it that really cripples us. And I guess the environment that we surround ourselves with. I also want to give you tips on how to deal with pressure, right? Because for as long as you guys are remaining ambitious, for as long as you're striving to be better, you're going to be taking on pressure, right? And it's going to be a good thing, because you can look at, pressure can obviously crush things, but it can also build diamonds, as cliche as that is. And we want to look at how you perceive things in a manner that it's going to help you create diamonds in your life. But if you aren't clear on who you are and what you want from your life, it's going to be very hard to understand how certain pressures that you're experiencing are playing out for the long term, okay? So I really want you to understand why you're doing what you're doing and the perception that you're giving yourself around pressure. Have you created it, or is it a societal one? Or is it something that you've adopted from someone else? For example, you may be hanging around in an environment with individuals who are very status driven. I know for me, for a very long time, well, actually even now, let's use current time, being in the environment that I'm in, where I'm very fortunate to work with high achievers and high income earners, I find that if I surround myself with them for a lot of the time, and I don't use a couple of the tips that I'll share with you in a moment to take a step back and think about what is actually important for me, I start adopting pressure and I start taking on pressure that I need to earn a certain amount, I need to work X amount of hours, I need to sacrifice certain things in order to achieve that, when I know full well, when I check in with myself and I slow down and go, why am I doing what I'm doing? What is most important to me, and where would I like to be in the next couple of years? Those kind of behaviors don't align with that. So for me to put that pressure on, while it can be great for growth, while it can be awesome to experience what that is like, to understand and go, look, living my life that way isn't for me. Because prior to, I guess, setting those standards, having the drive and desire to earn X amount of money, I didn't know. It was just a pipe dream. And I think, 2014, I had this desire that all I wanted was to earn $1 million. I had no idea or understanding what that would necessarily give me. I just thought if I had $1 million, it meant 1, I was successful, tick. 2, I would have freedom and flexibility, tick. 3, I'd be doing something well, tick. So that is what I was looking at, but I didn't realize, well, after some further thought and understanding, I realized that I could get those same values without having to strive towards the $1 million mark. And that was really important for me, and I really encourage you to think about, what do you want? Why do you want it? And what pressures do you need to take on in order to achieve that, right? Pressure maybe to learn new skills, maybe for me it was to build an online business, so the pressure of getting up and utilizing social media and becoming comfortable in that space was one that I, while it can be scary at times, it can be daunting and sometimes overwhelming, it was a pressure that I needed to get comfortable with, because it's allowed me or afforded me the freedom and, I guess, levels of success that I've had from that manner. So what's your perception of it? When you feel pressure, do you look at it in as a way that this is an opportunity to grow, to thrive, to succeed and learn something new? Or do you view pressure as, I can't handle this is too much for me, I'm going to fail? And it's important to get clear on how you view this, because if you're looking at it with the latter approach, that this is too much for me, I can't handle this, I guarantee you, because that's what you're saying to yourself, those results will happen. You'll fall short because you're not focused on the right things. The most important thing is you need to understand that in order for you to deal well with pressure, you need to start thinking or telling yourself that you're comfortable with dealing with pressure. You understand why the pressure is important. As I mentioned, it's an opportunity to learn, it's an opportunity to grow, it's an opportunity to test yourself, which is fucking exciting, because the more you push towards that threshold, yes, the resistance and the pressure chamber is going to feel more intense, but you're also so much closer to a breakthrough, which is what you need in order to get what you want from your life. You need a breakthrough, because in order to get what you, or where you want to go, the current version of who you are is not going to be the person you'll be when you get there. Think about this. What's something going really well in your life right now? For me, something that's going really well in my life right now is my consistency with the podcast. I'm very happy with that. 4 years ago, the consistency wasn't there. I'd go through phases where it might have been 3 months on, 6 months off, 3 months on, 6 months off, or something like that. And at one point there was a pressure, I put a pressure on myself to continue doing it, even though I didn't understand where it fit into my life or why I was really doing it. When that shifted and when that changed, it's now become enjoyable. The pressure to educate better, the pressure to ask different guests on that maybe I felt in the beginning wouldn't come on my show is there, and it's there for a reason, because I know it's going to help me impact more men, it's going to drive my mission, and it's going to empower more people, which I'm excited by. So that pressure, as much as when I'm going through the action steps of that, I'm potentially sometimes feeling overwhelmed and feeling nervous, there's an end goal, right, that I'm working towards. So think about how you perceive it, and like I said, I challenge you, if you're looking at pressure in a negative manner and it may be holding you back, do some work to flip that. And some very simple things is, first of all, being aware of it. So if you're sitting there listening to this going, that's definitely me when I find myself in challenging high pressure situations, I don't respond well to it, ask yourself, why do I feel I don't respond well to it? Secondly, how could I respond better? Thirdly, if I was the current or the better version of myself, how would I respond to that? Right, so you're starting to create answers for yourself, and then you just go straight to option 3, which is, question 3 or answer 3 and go, well, this is what I'm now going to tell myself. I respond well to adversity. I power through challenges. I continue to push my limits. It's why I'm doing the 30 rows in 30 days. Apart from aiming to inspire other men to go, hey, if he's doing 30, I can sure as shit do 1 and give them their own personal breakthrough. For me, it's that doing something that I really feel is going to challenge me like all hell. It's going to challenge me mentally. It's going to challenge me physically. It's going to challenge me on so many levels, but I'm excited by that because I'm going to find out a new level and I'm going to have so many personal breakthroughs, which I'm excited to share throughout that process. Let's move on to the next thing, tips. Tips for how you can deal with pressure. Most importantly, for me, have structure to your day. Pressure can come through a multitude of information, right? Some people feel pressure just because there's so much happening. For me, I like to, if you look at my office right now, it's quite a quiet environment. There's not much external stimulus apart from what I'm focused on in front of me. If I were to be doing it at a coffee shop, which sometimes I do work out of, I find it a little bit more distracting and I can feel more pressure. Now, sometimes that pressure is a good thing. If I'm sitting at home in my office and I'm getting distracted or I'm procrastinating and I'm not working the way that I intended to, I'll put myself out in that environment because I like the pressure of feeling like eyes are on me, I need to work hard. That can work in my favor. However, if I've got a pressure deadline to achieve something and being out in public or being in a highly distracting environment will take me away from that, I might not reach that deadline, so that pressure as well. So it's learning how to, I guess, structure your day to minimize that pressure. And I think a really important thing to structure into your day is moments where you can let go of pressure, right? Do things that allow you to be, I guess, ultimately free, right? Where you don't feel a sense of responsibility. For me, that's surfing, or it might be doing a workout. It might be sitting in a sauna. It might be playing with your kids for those who have kids, whatever that looks like for you. But for so many things in our life, there's pressure. And if we don't get time to switch off and to sort of let the valve off and let all that pressure out, eventually what happens with pressure, it blows up, and sometimes not in the way that you would like it to. So within that structure, you can find routines. And look, not every morning I love getting up early. I love reading, I love training, I love doing all that sort of stuff. But it plays an important role in me helping manage my stress, manage my expectations, and also reaffirm why I'm doing what I'm doing every day, right? It's highly important. So that for me is, I guess, a non-negotiable. Even on the days when I don't feel like doing it, I still do it because I know that the outcome is extremely beneficial. Second tip, take care of the hardship. We've all got tough stuff that we need to get done every day. And some people just put it off and 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 go, look, it might be too early to address that. I'll leave that till after lunch. And then after lunch, you might get bombarded with a whole heap of things that, don't allow you the time to deal with what you needed to get done. So the most important thing is take care of that hardship, because otherwise it's going to play on your mind. Okay? And I was just having a conversation with my brother who's looking to move back from Canada. And a very, very important thing was like, take care of the hardship. The first thing you need to do is just move back to Australia. There's a whole range of things that he wants to get done and needs to get in motion, which once again are important. But the hardest thing for him right now is getting back to Australia. So yes, you can stress and you can try and plan and organize and do all of that sort of stuff. However, none of it matters if you don't get the big hard things done. And as soon as you get back to Australia, you've now ticked off a big thing, and it's now freed you up the mental capacity and space to think about what comes next. What are the next challenges and changes that you need to implement? Third one, take care of your mental health. I don't know how many times I talk about this, but it's a huge thing within our academy. It's why I prioritize the exercise for the lads. We do these challenges. We talk about journaling. We really prioritize communicating within the groups openly and honestly, because in order to live a good quality of life, you need to have a great emotional home, which means taking care of your mental health. And as I said, with that wellbeing lifestyle report card, mental health is more than just your mindset, right? Things that affect that is your relationships, your finances, your environment, like where you live, the activities that you do, what you're consuming, right? So if you don't check in on that, if you aren't mindful of that, often you can have all of these things going on in your life that, as I mentioned just a moment ago, you may not be aware of that are detrimental to your overall mental health. So it is very important to take care of that. So start thinking about, who do you spend time with? Is it worthwhile? Are they adding to your life or making it more challenging? How is your energy when you wake up? What's your sleep quality like? Your nutrition, your hydration? How do you feel after getting home from a long day at work? Are you just sitting on your couch and letting the world pass you by, or are you getting home and going, awesome, now this is the time where I get to spend time with my family, work on myself, work on things that I'm excited and really passionate about? It's important to think about that. So they're the tips that I would recommend. Have structure to your day, take care of the hardship, and do things that allow you to be free, and finally take care of your mental health. All important things. One final thing to leave you guys with is practice working under pressure situations. You can train for it, right? Obviously life throws pressure at you. You can create, activities or experiences that challenge you under pressure. Even simple games where you might have to make a decision with a timer going on. You might have to answer a question with a timer going on. There might be a fitness one, like the 12-hour walk, for example, that we did with the blokes, is a pressure situation. It is challenging physically, mentally, and emotionally, and you're also a part of a team. Right? So you feel all kinds of, and everyone's pressure would have been different throughout that experience, but that is a pressure that really won't impact your life depending on the outcome, but it then teaches you so much about yourself and how you respond to pressure, how you respond to stress. Okay, we're all going to face it. You're all going to face pressure. So if you're sitting there going, man, I'm agreeing with this, I'm feeling pressure, you're not alone. All of us blokes go through it. It can be from society, it can be from loved one, it can be from yourself, expectation. But if we don't be mindful of it, if we don't check in on and see what pressure's serving us, what pressure's not, we're going to, more often than not, stress out, become anxious, and put a lot of our energy into pressure that isn't giving us the outcomes that we want. I don't want that for you. That is today's episode, and I hope you guys got value from that. If you took something away, please share it. Share this episode and just write what you learned from the episode, or shoot me a DM. If there's any other things on your mind, once again, shoot them to the either private Facebook group or wherever you want to contact me, because I love doing these episodes for you guys. And finally, do something today that will make you better for tomorrow.